What's up, gang? It is day 5. Today we're going to talk about meditation / affirmations. I know in our last video like this, we talked about creating an affirmation for growth mindset. And the beauty of this is hopefully you already have that affirmation in place. So you can actually use that affirmation as a meditation or as a mantra. And a mantra just means repeating a phrase or a word or an intention over and over and over again. So perhaps yours was, I can't do a push-up yet. You could use that as a mantra. I can't do a push-up yet. If I was to make that an affirmation, I'd actually like to make it an affirmative sentence. So I would think of a way to phrase it like, I will be able to do 1 push-up. And I would even go a little bit further to put a time frame on it, because our brains really love specificity when we're trying to create something. I will be able, and remember, we want it to be as realistic as possible. I will be able to do 1 push-up in 6 weeks' time. I will be able to do 1 modified push-up in 6 weeks' time, whatever makes the most sense to you. And then as you're using this affirmation throughout the weeks, remember to adjust your time frame, and it's okay to adjust your time frame. All right. So if in a week from now, you're like, I'm still going to need that 6 weeks. That's okay. Keep it at 6 weeks. Or, hey, you know what? I might need 8 weeks. You can change it. None of these things are set in stone. So you can use that as a mantra or a meditation. And I want to remind you that meditation can really work as a mental practice. And there's a lot of good research on this, that mental practice is very valuable. They've done research on athletes where they've taken one group of athletes who've actually practiced a sport and one group of athletes who've imagined practicing a sport, and then they skill test them. And guess what? There's pretty darn close outcomes for the folks who imagine practice for certain periods of time. So it's super interesting to know that mental practice is very valuable. And this is part of what we can do with our affirmations, or we can do with our meditations. Mental practice involves the cognitive rehearsal of a skill in the absence of actual physical movement. So I'm just going to practice in my brain what I'm going to do. Mental practice can take the form of thinking about a cognitive or procedural aspect of a motor skill. So like just something that I'm doing in my brain, or thinking about the skill that I want to practice. So you could think about exercise in this way. So if your goal or your affirmation from last week was something like, I cannot do 1 push-up yet, or I will do 1 push-up in 6 weeks' time, I can practice that in my mind. I don't actually have to go into the gym and practice it every single day. Yes, we need the specificity of actually doing the thing. That's going to help tremendously. Don't get me wrong, but the mental practice is there. So the mental practice can give us a leg up on getting there. Maybe you can't do a push-up every day, right? Maybe you can only do a push-up 1 time this week. But if you were able to practice even 2 or 3 times in your brain, it's better than not doing it. So you're practicing these procedural or cognitive aspects of a motor skill, or you can kind of put yourself into the seeing or feeling of oneself performing that part of the specific skill or the skill itself. So we put ourselves there with our minds. So you can think of meditation like a mental practice, and it can absolutely be used in this way. There are so many benefits to meditation. It can help reduce our stress, our anxiety. It can help us focus and cultivate a skill. It can help us slow down and find grounding and presence in our day. Remember, we're all like go, go, go all the time in our society. I want you to forget all of the preconceived notions you have about meditation or affirmations. There are no rules. It can be 1 minute a day. It can be 7 hours a day. It can be seated. It can be walking. It can be anything, especially when you get started. Yes, there are benefits to being more focused and more still over time. But when we're trying to cultivate this habit of using our brain for mental practice, we don't have to fall into all or nothing mindset. We don't have to be convinced that if I have a practice of 0 minutes a day, that a practice of 1 minute a day doesn't have benefit because it absolutely does. So today, I want you to either listen to a meditation, listen to one of our meditations from our bonus content, recite your affirmations in your brain like a mantra, just do some grounding, stillness, seated, whatever it may be. It could be 1 minute long, it could be an hour long, your choice. And I want you to tell me what, if anything, you experience. Use your five senses to describe it if you're unsure. What did you see? What did you smell? What did you taste? What did you feel? What did you hear? Real or perceived? I say real in the physical world or perceived. And how many more times will you do this week? I'm super interested to hear what your experience with meditation is. And if this is your first time practicing meditations or doing affirmations, let go of those preconceived notions that you have. There's no rules. This is a daily practice that can look lots and lots of different ways, and you get to decide. I cannot wait to hear what your meditation is like today and what your mental practice brings up in the comments of the group today.